First, let's talk about the distinction commonly made between ceremonial magic and natural magic. Ceremonial, or as I'm calling it here, ritual magic, is where a whole bunch of different tools, ritual tools, are used in a very precise, patterned way to alter your mode of consciousness and therefore perceive angels, demons, other forms of spirit entities, or recreate reality. With a tarot deck, that might be ritual for the invocation or evocation of a spirit by using one of the keys in the tarot as that spirit's talismanic calling card. The Book of Maps definitely gets into all of that. Natural magic is what I call the predecessors to science. It's astrology before we got astronomy, alchemy before we got chemistry, numerology before we got mathematics, gematria before calculus, herbalism before we got botany, and eventually modern medicine. Depending on your belief system, tarot divination in general, in that generalized sense, or fortune telling with the tarot, could be categorized as a form of natural magic. By that viewpoint, it's a predecessor to science because it comes before psychological counseling and modalities of psychological therapy. But again, that categorization would depend on how you view the tarot. So you definitely cannot say that view, that tarot reading is natural magic, is universally held. Folks also like to get into this space of differentiating high magic and low magic, where high magic commonly refers to cultivation practices toward a transcendental experience or consciousness shift, and low magic commonly refers to, like, I don't know, making a lucky charm for financial gains, money magic, love spells, even hexes, that kind of thing. In imperial Chinese history, and by the way, this applies to the history of magic in medieval and Renaissance times in the West as well. High magic was typically the forms of both ritual magic and natural magic you would find in Chinese Taoist grimoires or the Book of Methods, Fa Shu, first because only those of a certain socioeconomic standing were literate, so you don't have a lot of texts on low magic because those practicing low magic couldn't read or write. Common traits of high magic was that it's incredibly involved and sophisticated. An exhaustive list of tools was required and exhaustive methodical processes for consecrating each and every tool, a requisite knowledge of astrology, and access to ephemeris tables so you can track transits astrology. Remember, if you're poor, you're not observing anything beyond moon phases and maybe a few of the major constellations because you don't have access to ephemeris tables and charts casting, nor do you have the kind of free leisure time to study astrology. Another common trait of high magic is what I would describe as imported herbs, meaning an alchemist or a magist would incorporate into their craft plant life that's not native to their particular region. Whereas in low magic, spellcrafting was almost exclusively with whatever plant life you could gain easy and free access to. So whatever was in the nearby forest that you're able to forage. You didn't buy your herbs from out-of-town merchants, you foraged them yourself. In high magic, alchemists and magicians cared a great deal even about when and where you harvest the herbs. Time and place had to be symbolic in terms of astrology, geomancy, feng shui, and the cardinal directions. In forms of low magic, ain't nobody got time for that shit. You picked it when you picked it. All the traits of high magic are what you would historically attribute to the privilege of those with money and access. And at least in Chinese, Taiwanese, and Taoist or East Asian cultures of mysticism, grimoires by and large showcased high magic, not low magic, and it's rather hard to find historic records of low magic spellcrafting beyond what later in time gets memorialized from an oral tradition. Again, most villagers didn't read or write, but that is most certainly not to say they weren't practicing ritual magic. Low magic tended to be passed on through an oral tradition, changing and evolving with the times, much like the passing on of messages in a children's game of telephone. The term ritual magic describes the modality and methodology. Low or high adjectives describe the intention. Ritualized low magic with the tarot, for example, might be lighting a green, red, or gold candle, depending on your cultural traditions and what color correspondences you work with, dressing it with a prosperity spell oil. Then using the flame from that candle to light incense that corresponds with prosperity, like cedarwood. That's my tradition. Maybe you might go with patchouli. And then passing a selected tarot card through the smoke of that incense until it burns out, the whole time repeating a recitation of your intents. With the recitation, you do want to be poetic or in some way creative with how you craft that recitation. And that's mainly because when you exercise your creativity to write poetry, you're working the mental compartments in a way that's most conducive for ritual magic and spellcrafting. I mean, you do not need to write Nobel Prize winning poetry here, but do try to be somewhat artistic with it. Very quickly here, in the example I gave for ritualized low magic using the deck to materialize prosperity, here are some card suggestions. Take notes. The Shining Quarry, one of the 4 shining ones in the Empyrean Quartz, or an angelic virtue if you're working with Catholic angel hierarchy, can be used as a grounding elemental earth force and really fortify you with a reservoir of earth energy. It's basically adding more fuel for you to attain prosperity with. The dynasty, or the 10 of orbs, 10 of pentacles, can be used in prosperity magic to manifest wealth, but I would say this approach won't be effective if you haven't already done a lot of work leading up to this point, meaning this card's abilities help give you that extra final push. It's not a good beginner card if you're starting out with 0 or you are in debt and trying to manifest prosperity. I would not spellcraft with this card. The Eminence, or 9 of Orbs, 9 of Pentacles, is a great tarot card to use in prosperity magic to gain financial independence. Personally, if you have a very, very specific intention relating to money and finances, basically a wish, then use the 9 of Chalices, or the beneficent spirit of the wish granted. For a magus or skilled practitioner to turn his or her luck around for the better, work with the Wheel of Life to turn around your destiny. Final suggestion, key 3, the Empress. Great card for manifesting abundance into your life. This card can be used in spellcrafting to ensure you have more than you need and you are never in want. Then, for a consecutive number of days that's numerologically significant, maybe 7 or 8 or 9, whatever you feel is numerologically significant to you, maybe just 3. Seriously, whatever works for you. Keep that charged tarot card on an altar or on your office desk or somewhere relevant and meaningful to you as it pertains to inviting prosperity into your life. By the way, if that piqued your interest, then you should probably pause the video now and write that stuff down somewhere so you don't forget it. This video title is poorly labeled and meanders through a ton of subtopics and will be very long and rambling. So if you don't write it down now and you want to look for the information later, you're never going to find it. There's also the obvious impact of what we now in modern times refer to as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If you're in poverty, illiterate, and basic survival of your family isn't guaranteed, you're not going to be worrying your pretty little head over your great work or transcendental experiences with gods and goddesses. You're going to be using any know-how you have in ritual magic and or divination to figure out where your next meal is coming from, whether marriage can help you get your future generations out of poverty, and magic that can serve in the place of proper medical care. So here's how I'd diagram all these terms. You've got, as they distinguished it in the 15th and 16th centuries, now we're back in Europe, sorry, I'm hopping around space and time, keep up, where Hermeticism and Neoplatonic philosophies were forming the cornerstones of Renaissance magic, ritual magic versus natural magic. Under ritual magic, you can use modalities of it for either high magic or low magic, and then under natural magic, you can integrate knowledge thereof into the rituals of high magic, or you can use it in low magic spellcrafting. Spirit Keeper's Tarot is a product of ritual magic, and then within that umbrella term, ceremonial modalities of high magic. By high magic, that's nothing more than a reference for its intentions, the intentions of the ritual magic that gave rise to the deck. It was intended toward cultivating a higher or transcendental consciousness. I like to think of ritual magic as a form of meditation, one of many forms of meditation. Meditation, isn't just lotus position and om. Meditation is a very focused practice where you learn to gain control over your own headspace. A lot of us live in this illusion of believing we have full control over our minds and thoughts, and I would argue that the reality is no, you really don't. So, in broad strokes, meditation is any form of technical practice that you can use to learn how to gain control of your mind and thoughts. And by learning how to control your subjective reality, eventually be able to also control your objective reality. Meditation can, in concept, involve bells and whistles, used figuratively. I mean as a figure of speech, like accoutrements, tools. That's what I mean, not literally bells and whistles, although bells are often involved. When you've got meditative practices plus a buttload of ritual tools and particularized intentional conduct, I call that ritual magic. Ascetics, for instance, often incorporate ritual fasting into their meditative practices. Classically, ritual fasting is part of, or can often be part of, the preparatory work before ceremonial magic. The rendering of mandalas that's part of many Buddhist practices has an essential energetic motion to it that feels a lot like sigil crafting, the working of magic seals. Talismanic seals or sigil crafting, it seems, is part and parcel to both Western and Eastern forms of ritual magic. Now let's consider numerology and how it links Eastern and Western ritual magic to the tarot. The numbers 7, 9, and 15 are integral to Taoist ritual magic. 7 for the pacing the Big Dipper rituals that are often folded into ceremonies, also the sacred 7 in traditional astrology. And then 9 is for the magic square. 15 is the total sum of the numbers in all directions in a magic square with the 9 sectors. The theosophic reduction of 15 is 1 plus 5, which is 6. And so that makes 6 relevant. 7, 9, 15, 6. Then we've got the tarot septenaries, the numerological significance of 9 in esoteric tarot functions, and then there are the 78 cards in total in the deck, which reduces to 15 because 7 plus 8 is 15, and once again, the numerological reduction is 6. If you're like, septenaries, what? Check the video description box for page references in the Book of Maps. That'll be part of the recommended reading to go along with this video. Everything I mentioned about Taoist ritual magic is also pertinent in forms of Western ceremonial magic. The 7, Blavatsky's delineation of the 7 and the 3 septenaries, the trinity of 7. The 9, the 15, and then 1 plus 5 is 6, the 6. So to me, I always felt ritual magic and tarot synchronistically go hand in hand. To fold tarot into occultism was kind of a no-brainer. Now, how do you use the tarot in ritual magic? Whenever you want to learn something, start with theory. Don't touch practicum until you understand theory. In magical theory, everything you see or can perceive through your physical senses has another side that you cannot see or perceive through physical senses. You have a physical body, which is the materialized form you see, but you also have an astral body, sometimes referred to as an astral spirit, but I prefer astral body. The visual and understanding is clearer when I say astral body. Your astral body is not the same as your soul. It's that intangible, otherworldly dimension to your physical body. Remember, everything you perceive through your physical senses has another side that you cannot see or perceive through physical senses, but can be perceived through psychic senses. Your aura, for example, is part of your astral body, and seeing auras is gauging the astral body's health and temperament. In approaching ritual magic, you've got to think and account for both the physical body and the astral body. Let's get a little more specific, however. Who are you? You are made up of 4 parts, corresponding with the 4 elements, and very much in resonance with the 4 worlds sourced from the Holy Spirit. You've got your physical body, which elementally corresponds with earth. You've also got your astral body, which we just talked about, and that corresponds elementally with fire. Then you've got your soul, where the code of your karma is imprinted, and I associate that with water. And you've got your mind, which associates with the element air. Oh, quick insert. My terminology here is a little different from Paul Foster Case, who also talks about the physical body, astral body, soul, and spirit. He associates the astral body with air, but I'm associating with fire. That's because he doesn't account for the mind, but rather works with a soul-spirit dichotomy. I'm accounting for the mind in ritual magic, and so the mind corresponds elementally with air. Paul Foster Case's spirit, soul, astral body, physical body correspondences are on page 426 in the Book of Maps, if you want to check that right now and follow along. All forms of ritual magic is about reconciliation of the four elements, fire, water, air, and earth. And by extension, the purpose of that is to align your physical body, astral body, soul, and mind. All ritual, to some capacity, is toward that objective. Okay, now let's throw up a correspondence reference table on the screen and get nerdy. Please get out your copy of the Book of Maps. I want to present to you just how perfected an esoteric system the tarot really is, and why it is such a prized tool for reconciliation of fire, water, air, and earth, the four elements, and harmonizing your astral body, soul, mind, and physical body. Okay, Theoretics of Ritual Magic 101, here we go. You've got the four elements, fire, water, air, and earth. We've already covered how these four elemental planes correspond with the four facets of sentient entity. That's the astral body, soul, mind, and the material manifestation of it, the physical body. Note how it's distinguished from the way Paul Foster Case talks about these four facets. While the terminology is a little different, if you break it down to the essential ideas here, it's still the same idea associated with each of the four elements. You should have noticed by now that structurally or geographically, the Spirit Keeper's tarot deck is broken down into realms by numerology, like the realm of fours, realm of fives, sixes, sevens, and so on. You'll see this outlined on page 33 and page 34 in your book. Within each numerical realm, there's one scepter, one chalice, one sword, and one orb. So each realm contains each of the four facets. Within the Empyrean Courts, the court cards now turn to page 316 in your book. We've got the hierarchy of angels, or the holy guardians. Archangels are the tarot kings. Shields in Catholic angelology, also known as the powers, are the tarot queens. The shining ones, also known as virtues in angelology, are the tarot knights. They are the active control of the four elements. And finally, you have the four strongholds, the four angelic heralds or divine messengers corresponding with the tarot pages. Now we get into the major arcana, and here specifically the four cardinal signs in the zodiac and how they correspond with the four facets, astral, soul, mind, and physical or material. Then you've got the four fixed signs of the zodiac, and finally the four mutable signs. Read about the cardinals, the mutables, and the fixed signs encoded into Key 21 New World Order on page 196 to 203 in your Book of Maps, if you really want to dig deep here. By the way, the holy anointing oil recipe per the Book of Exodus, Ceylon cinnamon corresponds with the astral body, and its counterpart, the physical body, is designated by cassia cinnamon. Myrrh is the soul, and lemongrass is the mind. So even the four key ingredients in the holy oil corresponds with the four facets. Now, if you turn to page 114 of the Book of Maps, you'll understand the reference in the table on the screen. These are also the four herbs illustrated on the four strongholds or tarot pages. In the Theoretics of Ritual Magic and the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, you always want to think about bringing into alignment the astral body, soul, mind, and your physical body, which basically every religion and every mystery tradition everywhere of all time and histories have unanimously determined is achieved through ceremony. In ceremony, once you pull and draw down, bringing into alignment these four facets, then you work with the four elements in a way that creates the change you intend. Intentions correspond with alchemical elements, and so ritual magic is essentially a form of inner alchemy. A tarot deck, because it is this really incredible technology that works with the four elements and brings into reconciliation the four elements and four facets, your astral, soul, mind, and physical. The cards operate as this centralized hub for so many esoteric systems. Whether you throw the Kabbalah or the I Ching or astrology or numerology at it, it all fits into this cohesive correspondence system, the tarot. Because of that, the tarot deck is in a unique position to augment or to be of use in ritual magic. Setting sacred space or creating magical boundaries through acknowledgement of the four cardinal directions is the ritual you perform to bring into alignment the four elements and the four facets, your astral, soul, mind, and body. Connecting it all together through some visual of a closed sacred circle acknowledges that these four facets and four elements are in perfected union. Words, or more precisely, language, logos, I would say, is a very integral part of ritual magic. Language, logos, is an extension of your mind, and so help you to get in the powerful headspace you need to be in to transfer your focus from your physical body to your astral body, and to operate in ceremony through your astral body instead of your physical body. So, in a sense, your mind shifts from your physical body into your astral, and that mind of yours controls the astral body in a way that causes your physical body's movements. See if you can take all that in. Incense, candlelight, and holy water, or some form of charged consecrated water or charged consecrated ritual tools, help, as they say, thin the veil, or in more boring terms, break down that psychic barrier between the physical world and the astral world for you. And within the enclosed space you've set, your circle or whatnot, and the enclosed fixed space that you're working within becomes a sort of wormhole connecting the physical and the astral, or again, using boring terms, states of consciousness. Symbolism and sacred tools corresponding with the four elements and therefore the four facets of you and the four facets of the Holy Spirit really help bring everything into alignment. That's why in ritual magic you often find tools, and the tools are almost always symbolic. The motions you go through is also symbolic about bringing together or calling forth and making present the aligned powers of these four facets. Certain sounds at certain timbres, such as with ceremonial bells or drums, wood blocks, and so on, also help to alter consciousness and break down the barriers between moving in the physical world and moving in the astral world. Psychoacoustics, in other words, is arguably an important consideration when you're working with ritual magic. What I've covered so far is the common denominator in ritual magic, as far as I can tell, across a diverse spectrum of mystery traditions. Cultural perspectives painted over that universal core is where we will start to see the differences in the details. Remember, many faces of the Holy Spirit, many names and many faces of the One. That's a recurring theme throughout the Spirit Keeper's Tarot and the Book of Maps. This video isn't intended to be a full step-by-step practicum on ritual magic and tarot. I just wanted to cover theory and really do believe that if you understand the theory, the practical application will come intuitively to you. Don't wait for someone to teach you how to do any of this stuff. Figure it out for your damn self, guided, of course, by your higher angels. By now, you might have noticed that for each card entry in the Book of Maps, there's a section titled Spirit Occupant, and then the name or title of a spirit, which in other terminology, to me, identifies the astral body within the physical construct of the tarot card, an astral body almost like a tulpa or servitor, in the specific sense that it was manifested through ritual magic and not necessarily something that was there before, but it was formed from what was there before, the foundation of the tarot key. My theory is if you can call forth that astral body of the tarot key, that spirit occupant, and have it manifest in your life through intention set ritual magic, then you can make things happen. So it's like how in tarot, the theory is certain cards show up at random in the tarot spread to indicate what will physically manifest in your life. Ritual magic is sort of the opposite. It's using and working with selected tarot cards on purpose to physically manifest what those cards correspond with into your life path. My favorite application of the tarot, and I would imagine most practitioners of the craft who read the tarot do this too, I like to do a divinatory reading and then to what I see in my life path that I want to change, then use the tarot in ritual magic to manifest those changes. Since Spirit Keeper's Tarot was born from ritual magic, I would say that in a certain sense, it was born to be a strong contender for use within the scope of your ritual work. And if you really feel like you need some baseline starting points for context, so you have a starting point for thinking about how you want to proceed with tarot and ritual magic, I say definitely check out the Book of Maps.